Have you ever heard it said that if you want to be financially successful, you have to own your own business? Maybe you've just always wanted to be your own boss. Or perhaps today's shaky employment scene has recently inspired thoughts of seeking more control over your income. Going into business for yourself can be a big step. Owning a business can be risky. The first thing you may need to do is get some advice. So where do you get the kind of advice you need? Would you ask friends or family members who may have some business experience? Or would you prefer to hear what an expert has to say? If you'd rather listen to an expert, the message on this tape is for you. You are about to hear from one of the most qualified individuals in the world of financial planning. John Sestina has spent over 25 years as a financial planner. His list of credits is impressive in anybody's book. John received his master's degree in financial services at American College in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, and currently teaches a course in financial planning and management at Ohio State University. He is president of John Sestina & Company, a professional personal financial planning firm which operates on a fee-only basis. In fact, he is the originator of the concept of fee-only financial planning, a revolutionary idea in a field that previously operated solely on a commission basis. Among John Sestina's professional designations are Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Financial Consultant, and Financial Planner of the Year. He holds memberships in the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, of which he is a co-founder, and the Society of Independent Financial Advisors, and has been admitted to the Registry of Financial Planning Practitioners and the prestigious Financial Advisor Service. He also participates in the Institute of Certified Financial Planners and the International Association for Financial Planning. From his hometown of Columbus, Ohio, he hosts the Financial Planning Feature on a weekly radio show. He has also been a regular speaker at the Business Week Conference on Personal Financial Planning. John Sestina is the author of 3 books: The Complete Guide to Professional Incorporation, Managing to be Wealthy, and Fee-Only Financial Planning, How to Make It Work for You. He is regularly consulted and quoted by publications including The Wall Street Journal, Changing Times, USA Today, Newsweek, U.S. News & World Report, and Money Magazine. He's listed in Who's Who in Finance and Industry, Who's Who in Financial Planning, Who's Who in the Midwest, Who's Who in the World, and last but certainly not least, Who's Who in Amway. We proudly present John Sestina.
You wouldn't have shown up to this meeting if you didn't have some need. You wouldn't have come just out of having nothing to do this night because you're a busy person. You're interested in the normal success items, time with your family, more money, retirement, education, etc. And yet you took time out of your life to come listen to a business presentation. Perhaps you knew what it was, perhaps you didn't, but you were looking for something. You've read the headlines, you know what's going on in business. You've heard terms like downsizing. You know that financially things are more difficult even though you're working harder. Perhaps your spouse is working. You're worried about the future and you want to do something about it. And someone showed you the Amway business. So naturally several things are going through your mind. For example, you want to know, is this a real business? Part of the challenge is you probably have not analyzed very many businesses. In my 25 years as a financial planner, I estimate I've looked at somewhere between 20 and 30,000 different businesses. That's what I'm paid to do for my clients. Most of those businesses are no good. I've never felt that I could recommend any more than 7 or 8 businesses out of all the ones that I've ever looked at in any one year. And yet of all those businesses, the Amway business is the best business I've ever seen. And you wonder how I can say that. What you have to do is learn how to analyze a business. Because you're not trained, you may not have been sensitive to what the presenter was showing you tonight. So let's begin with what you may or may not know. Let's suppose you work for a Fortune 500 company. The typical Fortune 500 company, who manufactures about $2 billion in sales, has about 20,000 employees. Of these, there may be 2,000 white-collar jobs. The top executives in that company would number as few as 10. These are the folks who will make incomes of over $500,000 or more. Then you come to the 40 senior executives. These are the people who are earning over $100,000 a year. And then the next level is this upper middle management. This may number around 70 people. And their salaries are only ranging between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. These are the big money positions in the company where you work. And all of these people have one thing in common in this big money position. They're all looking for equity. They're all looking for a way to own a piece of this company for whom they work. And you know that. And you're looking for a piece. You're looking for a way to own. Because somewhere you heard, somewhere you read, someone may have said, if you expect to succeed, you have to own your own business. And yet as you look around to these few positions that are available at the high income levels, you realize that most corporations, especially the large ones, today are looking for what is called the irreducible minimum number of employees. And you're fearful that you may be one of those. As a result, the American Management Association has done several samples of like 800 companies. And they've found that many have downsized. And worse, they've not downsized just once, but many times. You may see them announce their downsizing 4 and 5 separate times. More startling, the companies reporting future layoffs rose from 14% just 6 years ago to 25% last year. Things are getting tough. Read the headlines. You know what's going on. Paul Reynolds, a professor of entrepreneurship at Marquette University, points out that the number of people working for large corporations has been declining for the last 25 years. He also says it's much easier to start a business today. You say, how can I start a business? Look what's going on. How can I compete? Look at the large corporations, the discount houses, and all those sorts of things. And yet many people today are discovering that there's a real evolution coming. They're discovering that a lot of people are not really very happy wandering around these giant auditoriums called retail stores, trying to find what they need. Tom Peters, who's well known as an author, wrote a new book called Liberation Management, etc. And he points out that in the business world of the 90s, he sees fleeting organizations that come together for a nanosecond. What he's talking about here are small groups coming together, small companies coming together. As major corporations downsize, what are they doing? They need the material, they need the productivity that was generated by all the employees they let go. So how are they going to find the replacement for the employees? Peters points out they're looking for subcontractors. They're looking for organizations that can produce what they used to produce in-house. You wouldn't have come if you weren't interested in owning your own business. So I know you want to start a business. But how in the world, when you're working as many hours as you do today, your spouse is working, you have family demands, how in the world do you start a business? And naturally, if you start a business, you're looking for the least risky approach to starting business. You'd like to learn at your own pace. You'd like not to have any financial pressures. In fact, if this new business idea of yours were to take off, then you'd like to be able to ease into it before you had to hand in your resignation. And you know from all the reading that you've done and all the radio reports and money shows that you've watched on television that there's terrific risk in starting a new business. You know that if you go off and you quit your job and you borrow from your pension plan and you do all the things and you work 1,000 hours a day to make the business work, that it may not work. How do you do this? What do you look for? And then you have another challenge because you are loyal to the company for whom you now work. You're loyal to the profession you've studied so diligently to become. And you don't want to depreciate any of that contribution you have. How do you avoid the natural conflict of interest of starting another business without interfering with the one you now have? Well, if you go and start a normal business, it could jeopardize your job. Conflict of interest are most likely to arise when your sideline business, your second business, let's say, your new venture, is labor intensive. Or when it must operate during normal business hours. Or when it requires extensive travel, or extensive research, or any extensive time commitment on your part. So you want to avoid conflicts of interest naturally, so they don't jeopardize your job. How do you do that? You have to find something that doesn't take a whole lot of time. You have to find something that doesn't require a major financial contribution, that doesn't require major research, that doesn't put you in a major liability position. You don't want to be worried about collecting receivables. You don't want a lot of employees. You don't want to be locked into one location. You don't want to be locked into one product. You're looking for the panacea. You're looking for the ideal business. So what we have to do is try to find the ideal business. And how can we do that? Well, we could go to the Dow theory letters, where they describe some points that tell you what the ideal business is. For example, they point out that the number one item of an ideal business is that it sells to the world rather than any single neighborhood or single city or locality. In other words, it has a huge market. As you looked at the Amway opportunity tonight, if you heard the presenter well, you heard him or her discuss international opportunities. You heard astounding growth figures, not only in the United States, but in all the new countries that are opening up. You can pick up recent editions of Wall Street Journal and other magazines, financial magazines, and read of Amway's ability, first of all, financial ability, and its personal commitment to these new emerging foreign markets. There is a huge market for this business. The next item would be that you have a product with an inelastic demand. If you start your own company, you have a little widget, and the big boys come along, they begin to fiddle with the patent, they make sure they don't violate it, of course, and they'll either force you out or buy you out after all your efforts. Your market demand is confined. In the Amway business, if you listened, what you heard was there was a multitude of products. There are new products being introduced again and again and again and again. 12 years ago, when Bobby and I first came to this business, we were in the soap business. Today, we have so many products and services, I don't even know how many there are. Read the materials. The next ideal point from the Dow theory letters is you want low labor requirements. The fewer people needed, the better. One of the most exciting things to me when I saw the Amway opportunity was, very simply, there were no partners and there were no employees. Now, unless you've ever owned a business, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you ever develop a business, including this one, you'll appreciate those comments. The Amway opportunity has very few labor requirements. It's you and your spouse if you have a spouse. If he or she doesn't want to go along with you, that's okay too, because you can do it alone, because you have a tremendous support system. The next item they list is that the ideal business sells a product which fits a continuing human or animal need. When I first read that, I thought it was interesting. Then I looked at the Amway business. We sell human food, we sell dog food. We sell personal care items, we sell automobile care items, and on and on and on. Part of the genius of this business, when I finally understood it was, and many people didn't appreciate this, was that we were in the soap business. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and in a nearby town is a reasonably large soap company. And they've done quite well in the soap business, and I saw that when I saw this plan. Because I realized that this was going to be, but people were always going to be needing this product, soap, for example. But obviously Amway's grown well beyond that. The next item they list is the ideal business has a low overhead. Well, it doesn't get much lower than running your business out of your apartment or out of your home or wherever you live. You don't have to go out and sign personal loan guarantees. There's no leases. There's none of the insurance requirements in the sense of protecting yourself against not being able to pay for the lease. There's none of the major commitments financially that most businesses have today. The next item is it produces a product which is difficult for the competitor to copy or to reproduce. This means the product is original. You say, well, does Amway produce original products? Of course. The SA8 product is still regarded as one of the best laundry detergents in the world. and all the other products that Amway personally manufactures, no question about it. But there's something more important about this business that is impossible to copy. And that is the Amway plan. You say, wait a minute, there are a million multi-level companies. I know because I see them. I always tell people when I show this business to a new person, I say, if ever you find something better than the Amway business, tell me about it. I'll look at yours, you look at mine. Whichever one is best, we both do. I'm still in the Amway business 12 years later. Many of those folks who've come from all over the country have gone home and started their Amway businesses. What we have that is unique is the Amway concept. When you examine the Amway business and you begin to realize things such as Amway's commitment to the environmental cause long before it was popular, long before there was an Earth Day. Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel said, we're going to be concerned about the environment. We're going to create something called biodegradable products. And they didn't leave it at that, but they became involved in the worldwide effort to improve the environment. That's unique. We didn't have to be forced into such an arena. In fact, you may or may not know that the United Nations recognized Amway for that accomplishment. Check it out for yourself and see how many other corporations have ever been recognized by the United Nations. The Amway concept is unique because the founding fathers, in my opinion, honestly started their business and saw a way that they could help others. Most of the other programs I see or review talk a lot about get rich quick. I always point out to these people, if you can read the label, if you can read the claims and not laugh, then you might have something. But then, let's look at the reality of how much money is involved. There's only so much money that can be paid. There's only so much that can be saved in the manufacturing process. And the Amway company has an incredible track record regarding its manufacturing abilities. The Amway program, as I know it, is unique because that philosophy of Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, which was help someone else and then you will be helped, has continued through the various lines of sponsorship. In particular, the Brit line of sponsorship has done an incredible job in creating a system that will support you in building your business. Because clearly, one of the things that must concern you is you're afraid. That's natural. You start any business, you should have fear. That's logical. And so you need to know that this business is unique, and what cannot be copied is not just a system, not just a distribution marketing system, but a unique concept, a unique philosophy of a group of individuals from Rich DeVos, Jay Van Andel, all the way down through Bill and Peggy Britt, etc., who are interested in helping you succeed. The philosophy, as I know it, is you cannot succeed until you first help someone else succeed. And I rarely see that in all the copycat programs. The next ideal point is it does not require huge cash expenditures. I'm sure part of the problem when you saw the plan was how inexpensive it was to start your business. That was a stumbling block for me. I had helped two companies, I'd helped start 2 national corporations. I built hotels, restaurants, shopping centers. Owned everything from racehorses, oil wells, stocks, bonds, you name it. I've done all that sort of thing. And it was not uncommon for me, even many years ago, to see several $1 million to have to go into an investment or a business to make it succeed. And when I saw the price to start this one, it blew my mind. Do not evaluate your potential income based on the limited expense to start this business. That was another part of the genius as I saw it in the concept of Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel. They wanted the business to be available to anyone, irrespective of their education, irrespective of their financial condition, irrespective of their race, their religion, their creed. Any of those limitations that are normally a problem were not here. The next point is it's a business, and you business owners will appreciate this, that is a cash business. There are no accounts receivable. If you've never owned a business, you cannot appreciate the beauty of that simple statement. If you own a business, so often you have a large amount of collectibles, accounts receivables on the books. And as the money comes in, you first give them to the employees. You give it to the landlord, you give it to the insurance company, you give it to the trucks you buy and the computers you need, and so on and so on and so on. And then if there is anything left over, you get it. And as governments impose more limitations, and as insurance companies restrict professionals, and as all these limitations are imposed, we're finding that businesses are collecting less and less of accounts receivable. If it's a cash business, you don't have to worry about the person who bought your service or your product from reneging. So often you provide the product or the service and then you never get your money. It's a cash business. The next ideal point is you want a business that is relatively free from all kinds of government and industry regulations. Now, fortunately, Amway is a regulated business. I say fortunately because if you do your homework, you will discover that Amway is in the forefront of regulating an industry that was had a bit of chaos in the old days, perhaps still does. But what impresses me about the way the Amway business works is that I don't have to maintain a staff of lawyers. As a financial planner, I have to go to this lawyer, that lawyer, and so forth. I make a recommendation, and then I have to make sure that what I said won't put me in jail. Fortunately, here, Amway spends all the money on the lawyers. And then further in the Britt organization, Bill and Peggy Britt had the foresight to realize we had to have a legal body overlooking this system and what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to help the people. So I don't have to spend that money. It comes with the kit, as we say. The regulations are taken care of. The next major point is this business, or this ideal business, should be portable. I love that. We can be anywhere in the world. I don't need a delivery truck. I don't have to have 10,000 square feet of warehouse space, and I can conduct business. I can conduct business in Aspen, Colorado, sitting in a restaurant and discussing my business on a cocktail napkin in a restaurant. I don't have to worry about getting the whole presentation together. I don't have to have a large staff meeting. This is a simple business. Don't be fooled by the simplicity. As you do your homework, you realize all good things are simple. But anywhere you want to go, anytime you want to conduct business, you can. No limitations. And then finally, the 10th point is, it's a business that keeps your full intellectual, and for me at least, more importantly, your full emotional energies challenged. Many of you are already very successful. When I saw the plan the first time, I laughed at the amount of money they proposed. I didn't need that money. I couldn't believe someone would live on that little money. It was not the money that appealed to me. So often I'm asked as I meet other distributors, how do you appeal to this super honcho who has 50,000 degrees and already lives in a large home and already makes a lot of money? Well, if that's you, you know what I'm talking about. You have an emotional need in the positive sense. If you are truly successful, it is important to you that you share your success. In the financial planning business, I have done everything within my power, having started national organizations, written the books and so forth that Mark quoted. And I still have several national projects in the works. Why would someone who's already successful in that industry want to do so? Because he is committed to helping others benefit from his experience. I compare these to the Amway business and I say, my gracious, how can anyone not see that this must be the best business in the world? If you have looked at this business and it has been properly shown to you, and you are listening to this tape, something got your attention. And because I'm not sitting across the table or driving home with you in your car, I don't know what that is. And maybe I've touched on it, maybe I haven't. But what you need to do is do your homework. If you're going into business, you need to do your homework. And if you're going to do your homework, you don't just listen to a part of this tape or look at the stuff that the person gave you, but you do your homework. You do some research. You probably have to see this again. I know you're intelligent. I thought I was brilliant. I'd looked at all these businesses. And I must confess I didn't understand it the first time or the second time and probably not even the third time. You need to see this business again. You probably have to go to a meeting or two to see how people are trained. You have to see how products flow. There are a million questions running through your mind that you need to have answered. But let me caution you, no one's going to sit you down and give you a 12-hour training session on all your questions. You, if you're experienced at all, understand you can't do that. It takes time to absorb. It takes time to understand. And so you'll have to become, as part of your research, you'll have to spend some time. You'll have to invest some time in going to some meetings, listening to some tapes, using some products, asking your questions. In my own opinion, do the most important thing in checking out a business, and that is check out the people. I'm often quoted as saying, I would rather be in a bad deal with good people than a good deal with bad people. And so if I were you, I'd get around the ones who are succeeding in this business. I'd get around the ones who know how to build it. And I would do as I did, which is pin them up against the wall and make sure they could answer the questions. So you have a lot of work before you. This is just the beginning. You may even be excited. If you're like me as a professional, my excitement was a frown. I know you don't want the other person to know you're excited, and that's okay. But you have a lot of work ahead of you in the sense of doing your homework. What if what you saw tonight is the answer? What if, as you do your homework, you realize that with some application of your efforts, you could indeed have what it is that you've been looking for? Do your homework. Make sure you come up and meet me someday.
While the techniques and approaches suggested may have worked for others, no one can guarantee that they will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented here will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business. This product has been produced independently of any other corporate entity. Purchase of this product is optional. Purchase of future business tools can be discontinued at any time.